Hey everybody, Anthony Pirozzi here. In March of this year, 2025, I finally released my book, Apricots and Figs, an immigrant father-son story. I started writing the book in 2001, basically just interviewing my dad, hoping to come up with some stories that I could document for my family, which I did, by the way, and I believe it was Christmas of 2003. I had about 3 solid chapters written and 3 more in the works. But and then life kicked in, and I just stopped writing. But what happened in 2001 was I interviewed my father. I got some really good notes and recorded him on tape. And then in 2005, I went back to Ischia with him for the first time with my mom, my wife Carolyn, and my brother Dominic. And I videotaped everything. Every story I had heard, every place that story came from, I got on video. In fact, I even had the opportunity to meet his friends that he grew up with that I heard in these stories as well. So after my dad passed in 2020, I retired January 1st of 21, and I decided to dive in and get the book done finally. What I captured was not only the stories that my father had told me throughout the years, but also the experience I had going back to Ischia with him for the first time, and leveraged those videos that I took. I even journaled while I was there. I had all this dialogue, and so I was able to put together even more stories than I thought I had. But now it was from my perspective, meaning, how did I hear that story? For example, the title of the book, Apricots and Figs, I knew the story. I created more dialogue in the current revision of the book in that story. But when I went to Ischia in 2005, now I was there. My dad was like, Anthony, remember the Apricots and Figs story? It happened right here. And I got all of that on video along the way of going from our hotel to the castle, Castello Aragonese, for the very first time, and the emotion I felt for that very first time. And then him darting off at that moment, trying to find his house, and us following. All of that dialogue is captured in the book Apricots and Figs. So you have the way I organized the book, just for you all to get a glimpse of, is there are alternating chapters between my dad's stories, his voice, and my voice. The beginning of the book, really, it starts with why I wrote the book. I interviewed my mom a year after my dad passed. She tells the love story when they met. And then it goes from there. The beginning is really, the first question I asked my dad, what's the first thing you remember growing up in Ischia? And right away he said, the Americans were bombing Naples. The Americans were trying to liberate Italy at the time. World War II was on, and he was 5-6 years old. So from there, the story kind of goes, the book goes from his stories to me, and then how something like that related to my experience with him. Like when I went to Ischia in 2005, I was now able to see where all this took place. The middle of the book is really about that journey with my father to Ischia, and then how I felt when I left, just having been there for a few days, in comparison to what he must have felt leaving in the Coming to America story, knowing he was leaving siblings behind, and they wouldn't all be together for another 13 years. And then the latter part of the book, which a lot of people may resonate with as well, that I know, friends of mine, is what we experienced as kids, first-generation kids of our Italian parents. In particular, the soccer games that we attended on Sunday at Daniels Field here in San Pedro, when my father had the San Pedro Italian Soccer Club. He was the manager, or prior to that, before I was even born, the Olympia soccer team, and how that fed into our passion. And our first real experience with soccer as Italian kids was the 1982 World Cup, when Italy won the World Cup. 2,000 people celebrated in San Pedro. The whole backstory to how that came about through my father's radio program, and our personal dialogue through that whole World Cup is all captured in the book. And then his love for Napoli, the Napoli soccer team. And the book ends basically with me going to Italy for to go see Naples win their third Scudetto championship with my son Vincent. This after, of course, my father passed away. So the book is almost like two books in one, where you flip. You're hearing two different voices. My dad then relates to me, and vice versa. And so what I've understood from those who have read the book is that they say to me, which was my hope. One, I wanted to make sure it was an easy read. People say it's an easy read. I've heard some people say they've gotten through it in 2 to 3 days and they can't put it down, which I was happy to hear, because I was a little concerned about writing a book. I mean, I've never done that before. But the other thing was really to honor my dad and tell the stories. And lastly, really for the reader to feel like they can see their stories, their personal stories, through the stories I captured in the book, which everyone who's read that book has told me, Anthony, as I was reading your stories, I was thinking of my unknown, or my grandmother, or aunt or uncle, even people I know that grew up on the East Coast, were like, I remember those Sundays, having pasta at 2 o'clock and listening to Italian music and so on and so forth, and the pastries, the holidays. So I tried to capture the essence of our culture in Apricots and Figs. And so if you haven't seen the book, this is it, Apricots and Figs, an immigrant father-son story. This is the castle in Ischia, the Castello Aragonese. I took this picture when I was with my dad in Ischia for the first time in 2005 from his friend's front porch, Domenico Bono. It's in the book as well. This is my dad when he came from Ischia, and around 1956 he got here, and he was taking pictures for my mom. So this is one of them, and it's my favorite picture. And then on the back, this is him and I in Torino. It's the last time him and I were in Italy together in 2009. And then, this is it. The book is available on Amazon if you want to purchase it. For me, the most important thing about this book was, like I said, being able to honor my father, capture his stories, make the reader feel like they are walking with us on our journey, and to see themselves through these stories. So I'm hopeful that you will consider picking up Apricots and Figs on Amazon. And over the next few weeks, I'm hoping to talk about different chapters of the book to give you a little bit more insight. So might entice you to take a deeper look at Apricots and Figs, an immigrant father-son story. God bless you, and have a great day.